Thank you. No, it's just. All right, so let's continue with text 24. Kathe rajani sadire tatrasma rudati pituhu nyavidaya tatha sarvam uktam sharmistaya kritam. Thereafter, when the learned king returned to his palace, Devayani returned home crying and told her father Sukracharya about all that had happened because of Sharmishta. She told how she had been thrown into the well but was saved by the king. Yeah. It's normal, no? When she came home, she saw her father, so she started crying. It happens. Text 25. Durmana Bhagavan Kavyaha Paurahityam Vigarhayan Stuvan Vritim Chako Potim Kapotim Duhitra Yayau Pura. As Sukracharya listened to what had happened to Devayani, his mind was very much aggrieved, condemning the profession of priesthood and praising the profession of uncha vritti, collecting the grains from the fields. He left home with his daughter. So Prabhupada explains kapota means like a pigeon. Pigeon only goes and picks grains, no? So he says, when the Brahmana adopts the profession of a kapota or pigeon, he lives by collecting grains from the field. They don't beg, huh? They just go out there and they just collect. This is called uncha vritti. This is a first-class Brahmana because he is depending on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not like, normally there are many types, right? You beg, you go home to home, you knock, you ask, whatever they give, that's all you do. In some places, like in Thailand, the Buddhists, they do it. And whatever they give, they'll eat, whether it's meat or fish or grain or whatever. That's how they are. But for us, it's different. We are, if we were to go out begging, then we are very careful what is given. Because they say the same thing. Whatever comes, it's coming on its own, providence. They accept like that. So here, if you are practicing uncha vritti, that means you are depending completely on the Supreme Lord. And if for that day, if nothing means you just go and sleep, drink some water and sleep. Yeah. Can we do that? I don't think we can do that. No?
But Buddhism is also based on like non-violence, right? Ahimsa.
Yeah, maybe ahimsa, but I'm saying that some of them do that.
Yeah, because I actually met a person. He was driving a taxi, and he was a Buddhist, and we were talking, and I asked him that question of isn't Buddhism based on ahimsa? Then how do you eat meat? He said animals don't have any soul.
Okay, then those are not really true Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are many variations, right? Like Christianity and so on.
But there are Buddhists who don't eat.
Yeah.
Also.
Even Hindus are also a variation of the true practice, right? So we have to be careful how we deal with such people. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, although the profession of begging is allowed for a Brahmana or sannyasi, one does better if he can avoid such a profession and completely depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for maintenance. Yeah. Because in ISKCON, Prabhupada set it up such that the sannyasis and the preachers don't have to go begging, If you beg, then people will not respect you also nowadays. They rather look down on you. Except for those in India, I think any other people will think you guys are just not working. You should go pay tax and then you'll be okay. That's what they will say, right? Yeah. So therefore, Prabhupada's, the way he has set it up in ISKCON, wherever the sannyasis go, they're always taken care. and they don't have to worry. They are in a sense they are dependent on whoever is going to take care of them and not complain. Yeah. Yeah. So here, Sukracharya was certainly very sorry that because of his daughter's complaint, he had to go to his disciple to beg some mercy, which he was obliged to do so because he had accepted the profession of priesthood. Right? Sukracharya, is serving those kings because they pay his wage. So he's thinking, why I have to do all this? Now look at what's happening, in his heart, Sukracharya did not like his profession, but since he had accepted it, he was obliged to go unwillingly to his disciple to settle the grievance submitted by his daughter. Yeah. So you can see he could have said, don't worry, let's not worry about this thing. But there's an etiquette here, He is superior to his disciple. So he had to go and find out and get things sorted out. Because the daughter, his disciple's daughter has been nasty to his daughter. So this is Kshatriya and a Brahmana kind of fight going on here. Text 26. Vrishaparvatam Ajnaya Patyanika Vivakshitam Gurum Prasadayam Murdna Padayo Patitapati. King Vrishaparva understood that Sukracharya was coming to chastise or curse him. Consequently, before Sukracharya came to his house, Vrishaparva went out and fell down in the street at the feet of his guru and satisfied him, checking his wrath. So you can say Vrishaparva is very good disciple because he understood what had happened. And generally, you don't want to create an uncomfortable situation for your spiritual master. So in this case, he quickly ran and satisfied his spiritual master, asking for forgiveness already. Shanarda Manyur Bhagavan Sisyam Vyachasta Bhargavaha Kamasya Kriyatam Rajan Nainam Tyaktum Nihotsahe. The powerful Sukracharya was angry for a few moments, but upon being satisfied, he said to Vrishaparva, my dear king, kindly fulfill the desire of Devayani, for she is my daughter, and in this world I cannot give her up or neglect her. So this father has affection also for his daughters. So he cannot neglect his sons and daughters, for by nature they are dependent on the father. Particularly here, the daughter is very dependent. And here you can see he has so much affection for his daughter, and he knew of the quarrel between Devayani and Sharmishta. He also knew it was childish, but still he felt he has to please his daughter. Yeah. And Prabhupada says he did not like to do this, but he was obliged to because of affection. He plainly admitted that although he should not have asked the king for mercy for his daughter because of affection, he could not avoid doing so. So you can see sometimes, although you know what is right and wrong, due to circumstances, due to emotions, you will say something you may regret later. So we should be very careful how we live our life. What is our standard? What is the standard of our life? What are we following? What are the principles? We may say we do all this, but then at a certain time we may adjust, right? So that will make us less potent, actually. Right? When you preach strongly and then you yourself cannot maintain the standard, then people won't accept you. They won't believe you after some time. Therefore, our standard should be there. It should be either we do it, our standard should go higher but never go low. Yeah. Therefore, we have to check our affections. Of course, it could be also extreme, just like Bhishma, he made a vow saying, whoever sits in the throne, I will completely follow them and protect them. So then what happens? Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, all these people who are very nasty people. And then when they are adharmic, and still he had to protect them because he took a vow. You want to give him a chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's coming.
Text 28. Tatheti avastite praha devayani manogatam pitra datta yato yashye sanugaya tu mamanu. After hearing Sukracharya's request, Vrishaparva agreed to fulfill Devayani's desire, and he awaited her words. Devayani then expressed her desire as follows. Whenever I marry by the order of my father, my friend Sharmishta must go with me as my maidservant along with her friends. Now you can see how when you become angry, you can ruin another person's life. Right now she wants to make her friend Sharmishta her maidservant. For her, like it's like forever, there's no, she doesn't say for how long also, But what to do? Let's see what the father, how he reacts. Pitra datta devayanyai sarmista sanugatada swanam tat sankatam vikshya tat artasya cha gauravam devayanim paryacharan Stri Sahasrena Dasava. Vishwaparva wisely thought that Sukracharya's displeasure would bring danger and that his pleasure would bring material gain. Therefore, he carried out Sukracharya's order and served him like a slave. He gave his daughter Sharmishta to Devayani, and Sharmishta served Devayani like a slave, along with thousands of other women. So you can see how a choice we make can cause so much problem. It appears very simple thing. Yes, no. He could have said for how long. I don't feel it should be for, could say maybe for one. Now the incident that happened was only a short incident. They were angry, childish, and he knew, Sukracharya knows that, and still he allowed his daughter to ask for something. So you can see in our own lives, we should be very careful how we deal with one another. Ultimately, you should not hold grudges. You should be intelligent enough to give up grudge. Okay, maybe you can't talk to them for maybe a couple of days, but you should go and ask for forgiveness. I was reading an article where this priest was saying how he had a very good friend, but one time the friend said something so hurtful that he felt so disturbed. And the friend knew that she had said something bad, but she didn't know how to ask for apology. So he went on for 3 years. Whenever they saw each other, they won't talk, and they were. So then, after some time, he was thinking, this cannot go on forever. This is not good, because he's a priest. He understands this is wrong. So finally, he approached and said, "Look, I think you do not know how to ask for apology, but I think it would be good for you. Otherwise, our relationship would not be favorable." And then she said, "Yes, I do not know how to say." Then he said, "All you have to do is say, 'I'm sorry,' and you mean it." And then she said, "Yes, that's all I want to say." And then he said that was good. Everything went okay after that. Their friendship was good again. So here you could see how Sukracharya and Vishaparva, although they both know the daughters made some mistake, they both also made wrong choices. One is taking advantage of the other person. And Vishaparva knows his daughter for the rest of her life she'll be a slave. He's not thinking I should protect. Rather, Prabhupada explains here, he's thinking about material gains. So our practice in our Krishna consciousness, we should ask what is ultimately our goal of practicing Krishna consciousness? Is it spiritual or matter? How much material things do we need? It's like, pouring drops of ghee in fire. Will the fire be ever satisfied? It's never going to be satisfied because it'll burn through and just wait for more. Fire never gets satisfied, actually, right? You do in fire yagna, as long as it thinks to burn, it'll burn. You keep putting more wood, it'll say, I'll burn. It won't say, enough, I won't burn anymore, right? So in the same way, the desire for material enjoyment can go on and on for eternity. And this is the reason we are all here. So it is important for us to look through these pastimes of exalted personalities like Sukracharya, Vishaparva, Sarmista, Devayani, all these people exalted, but yet they are going through what we can say is for our learning experience for us. So it is very important for us to know these things. Now, of course, along with her, Devayani, thousands of other women are going because they're all her mates. And that's what she wants. This is too much, no? So all of them will become slaves to this one person. Yeah. Sarmista had to go through this, very difficult. But then you can see later on the situation will change and enmity will, continue in an unfavorable way. Prabhupada talks about Vasudev marrying Devaki, the mother of Krishna. He married all 6 of her sisters, and she also had many friends who accompanied her. Why? Because it is customary for all her girlfriends to go with her to her husband's house. A king would maintain not only his wife, but also the many friends and maidservants of his wife. Some of these maidservants would become pregnant and give birth to children. That means a king may also have affairs with the maidservants also, but they never get the position of, they can never take the royalty. They always second. Just like Dhritarashtra, it is said that he had also a child by one of the maidservants. Yeah. And such a person cannot take the position of the kingly order. Same with Vidura, right? Because the maidservant was the one who accepted Vyasadeva. And so Vidura was born. And although he is the brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, he can never become a king. Yeah. So similarly, those kind of Vedic rules are there. And it is based on Vedic science. So we cannot say this is not fair. From our point in Kali Yuga mentality, we'll think this is right or wrong. But when we look at Vedic system, it's always perfect. Yeah. Now, such children of the maidservants are known as Dasi Putra, if it's sons. If it's daughters, it's Dasi Putri, right? The female population is always greater than the male. Prabhupada gives another view of what happens in those days. But since a woman needs to be protected by a man, the king would maintain many girls who acted either as friends or as maidservants of the queen. In the history of Krishna's household life, we find that Krishna married 16,108 wives. These were not maidservants, but direct queens, and Krishna expanded himself into 16,108 more. So now Prabhupada is saying we shouldn't judge Krishna like the ordinary kings, because Krishna is Supreme Lord and he can expand, and his queens were all his own energies, his own Ladini potency, expansions of Ladini potency. So one should be very careful not to think that Krishna marrying the 16,001 is the same as a king, an ordinary king with trying to deal with the maidservants also. So then Prabhupada then says, this is not possible for ordinary men because we will think like that. It is our nature to find faults. So we'll think, what about Krishna? He did it. Why I can't do it? So Prabhupada wants to make it and establish these points over and over again until we understand that Krishna is not an ordinary person. Okay. Okay. Therefore, although the kings had to maintain many, many servants and wives, not all of them had different establishments. They were all in the same palace, or extensions of palace. They lived like that. Basically, you can see Vrishaparva was also very afraid because he was thinking Sukracharya might curse him. Yeah, and so that was the second reason, or the first reason. He had two reasons. One was he didn't want to be cursed. The second was he wanted material opulence. Yeah. So that's the same thing. So in our lives, all of you should ask yourself, how are you going to base your decisions on? Are you going to make sure you'll be Krishna conscious? Are you, you see, confirm. Are you going to be Krishna conscious, or are you going to be materially motivated? You have to make a choice in your life, because the choices you make now, 20 years later, may have some repercussions in your own lives. So you have to think carefully and ask yourself, will I be able to accept it? Then you will have at least a materially peaceful life. But spiritually, you may be in chaos. Right? So think for yourselves, because it's good for you to understand and be ownership. Take ownership of your choices you make. And then you cannot blame anyone. You can always say, yeah, I made that stupid mistake. And you can smile and be happy about it. Or you can say, I made a stupid mistake and blame everyone else except you and be miserable. Right? We see people like that. Yeah. We shouldn't do that. In our life, we are making choices every day. From the time you get up, you're making choices every day. Or before you go to bed, you can formulate the choice you want and go to bed also. So think carefully, and then you'll see that when you are aligning with Krishna, you will find your life will be more meaningful actually. Otherwise, it'll be just a material life. You're thinking running here and running there, but you do not feel contented actually. The contentment may not be there. But if you perform Krishna conscious activity, then yayatma suprasidati, you will be satisfied fully, heart-wise. Yeah? Yeah, you find those who have dedicated completely to Krishna. Most of them are happy. Or if you have no job for a few months, you find you're actually very happy. No stress, nothing. Yeah. The other Prashant. See, yeah. 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 X30. Now, yes.
So in the family situation,
Yes.
so how we deal like some member in the goodness, some fashion, something words. How can work?
You treat them according to their nature, though, you know. For example, if you have a son who is very passionate about things that he wants to achieve, right? Young, he wants to achieve, then you encourage him, yeah, but tell him to follow, make sure that it doesn't break at least the Vedic principles. Yeah. That's all you can do. They are grown up, they are young men, their choice is theirs now. They take responsibility. As you are not taking the responsibility. Yeah. You can, if they make a mistake and you don't approve of it, you can say, I don't approve what you did, but you have to accept the responsibilities now or in the future. It's going to come back to you in a form that you may not like it, my dear son. Yeah, but you are not part of it, Why do you get involved in those kind of choices and decision making? But you can say, I'm always here to give you good advice based on Krishna consciousness. Yeah. It's for free. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, text 30. Nahushaya sutam tatva saha sharmista yoshana tam aharajan charmistam adastalpena karhichi. When Sukracharya gave Devayani in marriage to Yayati, he had Sharmishta go with her. But he warned the king, my dear king, never allow this girl, Sharmista, to lie with you in your bed. So that means Sukracharya told Yayati that you don't sleep with this girl, Sharmista. Yeah, so that's what he's saying. So he's warning, huh? Look what happens now, right? It's become more and more difficult. And he wants to protect his daughter, and because they are both fighting with each other. But look at the situation now. He, instead of him doing yagnas and worshipping the Supreme Lord, he's involved himself into this silly things, This is taking you away from the goal of life. Text 31. Vilokyo shana simrajan charmista suprajam kochid tam eva vavre rahasi sakya patim ritau sati. O King Parikshit, upon seeing Devayani with a nice son, Sharmista once approached King Yayati at the appropriate time for conception. In a secluded place, she requested the king, the husband of her friend Devayani, to enable her to have a son also. Text 32. Rajaputrya patye dharmam chavekshya dharmavid smaran chukra vacha kale distam evabhya padyata. When Princess Sharmista begged King Yayati for a son, the king was certainly aware of the principles of religion, and therefore he agreed to fulfill her desire. Although he remembered the warning of Sukracharya, he thought of this union as the desire of the Supreme, and thus he had sex with Sharmista. Now there is a Kshatriya Dharma, where if a woman approaches the Kshatriya and asks for a child, they must do it. This is Kshatriya Dharma. Well, of course, Sukracharya already told him, I'm going to, you'll be sorry if you do this. So therefore he's thinking, but you can see he's thinking, of course, we do not know, at least I don't know, but he's thinking this is the Lord's desire. Anyone can do anything and say this is the Lord's desire.
All by providence.
Yeah, all by providence. So we see that quite often. But since this is in the Bhagavatam, we can therefore say it is most likely the will of the Lord. Okay. Yeah. Now, similarly, when Bhima was protecting his mother, and what is that? Hidambi. She approached and asked, although she is a Rakshashi, she asked for union with Bhima, and then at first he said no, but then his mother and Yudhishthira said yes, he had to fulfill that request. So similarly, we can see here there's a reason why he said so. Prabhupada explains how when in the first canto, if you read, you'll see how when Arjuna comes back from Dwaraka, he's very unhappy. And so Yudhishthira asked him, did any woman refuse you? Or did you refuse a woman to give her a son? Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay. Text 33. Yadum chaturvasum chaiva devayani vyajayata druyum chanum cha purum cha sharmishta varsha parvani. Devayani gave birth to Yadu and Turvasu, and Sharmishta gave birth to Dhruyu, Anu, and Puru. She got more kids than the other one. Now, dangerous. Text 34. Garbha Sambhavam Asurya Bhartu Vijnaya Manini Devayani Piturgeham Yayau Krodha Vimurchita When the proud Devayani understood from outside sources that Sharmishta was pregnant by her son, she was frenzied with anger. Thus she departed for her father's house. Whew, terrible. You can make a movie out of this. There is a movie. Level 4.
Maharashtra, there is, I was telling, right, it's very popular drama is there, like Natak. They call it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very, very popular.
Yes.
Jayati Devaya.
Yes, yes.
There are very famous songs.
In
also.
Maharashtra, there.
Right.
Yeah. It's you can make, this is like the people will can connect with this kind of all these things.
That's what it, like they highlighted more the love aspect.
Yeah, exactly, not
the
on the
other
religious
things.
aspect. Yeah.
And it all started with wearing the clothes.
Clothing,
I think that's it.
yeah.
Okay, this-
So one principle is don't wear your friend's clothing. Right? Generally,
Of course.
the guru will give his clothing to his disciple and they can use it in that sense. Certain things you can't touch, but the certain things he can give that they wear like that. But otherwise, you should not anyhow wear, you get some reaction. Yeah. 35. Priyam anugata kami vachobe upamantrayan na prasadayitum seke pada samvahanadibihi. King Yayati, who was very lusty, followed his wife, caught her, and tried to appease her by speaking pleasing words and massaging her feet, but he could not satisfy her by any means. Very similar to Dasara trying to appease Kaikeyi, Yeah. She also was angry and therefore she wouldn't listen and throw tantrum. Very similar, you can see. But in this case, the Sukadeva Goswami explains that Yayati is a very lusty person also. So he has very strong lust for sexual desire. 36. Sukrastam Mahakupita Stri Kaman Mandrita Purusha Tvam Jara Vishata Manda Virupa Karani Nirnam. Sukracharya was extremely angry. They all seem to be angry, right? You untruthful fool, lusting after women, you have done a great wrong, he said. I therefore curse you to be attacked and disfigured by old age and invalidity. You can see that when you're angry, you will do many things that you will not be proud of. Right? So don't make decisions when you're angry. If you feel you're angry, best thing to do is always tell the other party, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I want to think about this thing. Yeah, in life, you should always don't immediately think you have the best answer. Right? Oftentimes when someone come and ask us, we're like, yeah, do this, do that. But we don't know the whole story. Then when we find more story, we change our answers. Best is to, okay, let me think about it, Maybe some things are simple things. You can say, yeah, do this, do that, But otherwise, we should think carefully before we answer. It's a good practice for devotees especially, yeah. So you can see Sukracharya is always getting very angry. Here he become more angry, extremely angry, Prabhupada says. And what did he do? He just cursed the king. Text 37. Sri Yayati Uvacha Atriptosmi Adya Kamanam Brahman Duhitari Smate Vyatyasyatam Yatha Kamam Vaishayo Bidasyati. King Yayati said, O learned and worshipable Brahmana, I have not yet satisfied my lusty desires with your daughter. Sukracharya then replied, you may exchange your old age with someone who will agree to transfer his youth to you. Of course, nowadays you can't do that. So they have all those medicine they take, all those, what do they call it? Pills to get the virility, and they go for surgery, Botox, and then stretch your face, look young. Externally, you may look like that, but inside all crumbling. But in those days, they can do it. That's the technology. It's very good. Power, potency of Vedic culture, transcendental knowledge, and so on. And Sukracharya was very quick to tell him, yeah, you can do it if you can exchange your old age with someone who will agree to transfer. Because Yayati still wants to enjoy like that. Kamanam, because the fire is not satisfied with the wood yet. It still wants to burn. That's the main thing here. So who would want to exchange their youth for an old man, right? So we'll find out. Text 38. Iti labdhva vyavastanaha putram jaistam avochata yado thata pratichemam jaram dehi nijam vayaha. When Yayati received this benediction from Sukracharya, he requested his eldest son, my dear son Yadu, please give me your youth in exchange for my old age and invalidity. 39. Matha maha kritam vatsa na tripto vishayeshvaham vayasa bhavadiyena ramse katipaya samaha. My dear son, I'm not yet satisfied in my sexual desires, but if you are kind to me, you can take the old age given by your maternal grandfather, and I may take your youth so that I may enjoy life for a few years more.
So ridiculous, right? There, that mother and daughter, you're the father.
Father and son, yeah.
Oh,
But it's all based on lust.
yeah, but I mean.
No, this is what happens.
Father will go tell the son this, you know.
If you cannot sustain mode of goodness, you will make bad choices in the other modes. So this is exactly what it is. He is forced by his passion to enjoy material life. So Prabhupada quotes, Kamashtaisya Hritajnanaha. When one is too attached to sense gratification, he actually loses his sense. Okay? So similarly, we should be very aware of these things in our life, because again, you're going to make choices. So many decisions we make out of anger, and then we regret. 10 years, 20 years later, oh man, I should have given the pakora. Right? Like that. Because too much difficulties.
Nothing to learn.
Yeah, although this seems so horrible, and as you mentioned, this is ridiculous, but this is what's happening. Ridiculousness is happening all over the world. Right? People make horrible choices, but they stand by it, right? You see so many people make bad choices and they will stand by it because they have already lost their senses. How do you help them come to a good sense?
Chanting.
Yeah, but before they even will chant, how to make them come to accepting chanting.
Prashadam.
Yeah, give them prasadam. So prasad distribution must be there also. It's amazing though, but this is what Prabhupada is trying to tell us. So Ritajnanaha refers to one who has lost his sense. So, and then Prabhupada says, the father shamelessly asked his son to exchange youth for old age. Of course, the entire world is under such illusion, right? Therefore, it is said that everyone is pramattaha, or exclusively mad in this age. Therefore, he is quoting this verse, Nunam pramatta kurte vikarma. Who's saying this? Yes, Rishabdev to his 100 sons. When you are like a madman, you will indulge in sense enjoyment, sex, and so on. Again, sex and sense gratification is just like a fire in a wood. It's very difficult to control, but it can be controlled when you are Krishna conscious, right? You find in your own life, many of you, before you became devotee, how impulsive you were. Now you find that you think twice, or you are not so impulsive at all. You understand the consequences of doing something that's not good for you. Yeah. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes Yamuna Acharya's prayers, right? Since I've been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing I have a new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. Because Yamuna Acharya also became a king, and he was enjoying life with many women. And so he then, when he realized it and he became more Krishna conscious, he's expressing that actually devotional service is far more superior. The pleasure you get is far more superior. So then Prabhupada also gives another very strong point, he's saying, as long as one desires for sex, has desires for sex, one must change his body and transmigrate from one body to another to enjoy sex in different species or forms. So therefore, we should be very careful, we don't want all this thing. If you want too much sex, you'll become a pigeon, right? Or a pig or whatever, like that, yeah. Yeah. But although the forms may differ, the business of sex is the same. Therefore, he says, Puna Puna Charvita Charvananam. Now he's saying, this is what it is, You've already done this. Why are you wanting to do it over and over again? It's like a lot of times when you see people chewing gum, there's no more sugar in it, yet people keep chewing it and chewing it, It's meaningless, What is the joy in chewing a gum? And then they put it under a seat or under your table, and then you sit down and your pants get ruined, right? And then you touch and yuck, yeah. Yeah.
In Singapore, there is
Banned.
chewing itself, is it?
Yeah, they don't sell chewing gum. Yeah.
Yeah, the people throw in the streets and all.
There is a gum wall in Seattle.
Yeah.
And they are popular.
Yeah, it's a tourist place.
Oh my God. So look at this, so fallen, that has become something they worship. That's what they're doing. They're worshiping the gum wall. They all will become gummies in the next life. Yeah, so chewing the chew. We don't want to do the same thing. Text 40. Sri Yadur Uvacha Notsahe Jarasastatum Mantara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishyam Naiti Purushaha. Yadu replied, my dear father, you have already achieved old age, although you also were a young man. But I do not welcome your old age and invalidity, for unless one enjoys material happiness, one cannot attain renunciation. So it's a difficult thing, asking people, who is going to say, exchange my youth to old age, unless it's a pure devotee wanting to go back to God here. Nobody would exchange. Who is that? Who's that sage when Indra asked him? Twasta, right?
Body.
Was it his son, Vishwarupa?
First
Right?
bones, right?
Yeah.
Dadichi.
Dadichi. Okay, thank you, Dadichi. So, yeah, so he said, yeah, go ahead, take my body. Right? Because he was self-realized. And therefore, he's not attached to his body. Until and unless we become self-realized, we will always be attached to our body. Not just the body, to the extensions of the body, also family, the country, iPhone, right? Yeah. It's more dear to you than your life. Like that. Right. Therefore, Prabhupada says to help people become renounced, the Varnashram system is set by the Supreme Lord. The Lord Himself personally gave us the Varnashram system so that we can give it up. All this attachment. We have attachment, yes, everyone has attachment, but to give it up, you go through the Varnashram system properly. You serve within the Varnashram system. Devi Varnashram we are talking about, not just Varnashram system. So it aims at giving one the facility to return home back to Godhead. So Varnashram system means you can do everything you desire, but then in the center of your life is always Krishna, Supreme Lord, Narayana, Vishnu, everyone is the center. So you do everything to please Lord. You work to please Lord. You work, you have family so that they can serve Lord like that. So that is the consciousness. So ultimately at the end of life, you are not really attached to anything material, but you are thinking, Lord, I've served you. Will you please take me back? Like that, right? So Mahaprabhu said, Niskanchanasya Bhagavad Bhajanon Mukhasya. One who wants to go back home, back to Godhead, must be niskinchana, free from all affinity for material enjoyment. So if you're going to die tomorrow, all of you, you ask yourself, what are the material attachments you still have? You know? And then you should ask yourself, how shall I give this up? You have to think like that. How will I give it up? Then you will have a formula, or you will formulate something. But you cannot just say today, yeah, I have this, and then you close the book and forget it. You know, then those desires will grow, and like a banyan tree, it'll create more and more seeds of desires. Yeah. So it's important to understand this. Yeah. So Prabhupada continues to say. Let me see where was I. Yeah, free from all affinity for material enjoyment. Brahmani upasamasra jayam. Unless one is fully renounced, one cannot engage in devotional service or stay in Brahman. Generally, Brahman means one who is in the mode of goodness and he is not affected by the three modes of material nature. So then Prabhupada says, Mamcha yogya bhacharena bhakti yogana seva sagunan samithyattaitan brahmabhoyaya kalpite. So in any circumstances, because he's not affected by the material three modes, he is always fully engaged in devotional service. So although you can see someone working, but they are always thinking about coming home and doing the puja and pleasing the Lord. His main thing is devotional service. His secondary activity is to earn some money so that he can support his preaching activities and many other things. Yeah. Yeah, so then Prabhupada continues, if one is always fixed in the service, then he is certainly liberated. Yeah. But if one wants to continue to enjoy material happiness, he is not able to be liberated, or he cannot even renounce things. Here, Yadu, the oldest son, actually, this Yadu is the his lineage is where King Krishna takes birth, actually. Yadu Danis. So there is a purpose also why he refused also, because he says one cannot attain renunciation. Yeah. Maharaj Yadu was different from his brothers, Prabhupada writes, as stated in the next verse, because it's explained in the next verse. Turvasus chodita pitra druyus chanuscha bharada pratyachakyu adharmanya. Maharaj Yadu's brothers also refused to accept their father's proposal because they were not completely aware of dharma. So it's interesting, what is this dharma? To accept orders that follow religious principles, especially the orders of one's father, is very important. So who followed the father's order? Lord Ram, Ramachandra. Yeah. So from our point, we say, why did he even follow? Right? But it's because the father was dharma. He followed dharma so nicely. So whatever he says is also dharma. A king represents Krishna or Supreme Lord. So whatever he is saying or doing or passing law is for the benefit of the population. So in a sense, although he wants to enjoy, his words are still important because he has raised his sons correctly. He should have raised his son. So then it seems that the others are not in the same level. Yeah, they didn't understand the principle. And then Prabhupada justifies further. He says Maharaj Yadu was completely aware of the principles of religion. Why? Because he understood the religious principle. And therefore he says, if I don't enjoy properly, then I will not be able to renounce. Because he's a king, he wants to have some time to enjoy. So ultimately, as Prabhupada says, it is for us to perform devotional service and nothing else. And Prabhupada continues towards the end, but because, yeah, if he had given his youth, he cannot have performed austerities, and then he cannot realize and please Krishna. So therefore, he refused to delay engaging in devotional service. And so he said no to his father, for he was eager to achieve freedom from disturbances. And then Prabhupada says, moreover, among the descendants of Yadu would be Lord Krishna. Therefore, because Yadu was eager to see the Lord's appearance in his dynasty as soon as possible, Yadu refused to accept his father's proposal. This was not irreligious. Therefore, Yadu, when he said no, it is okay. But when the other sons say no, they didn't know why they are saying no. They just want to enjoy. So therefore, it wasn't okay. Just like in the case of the four Kumaras, right? When Brahma told them to go and create progeny, and they said no. And their reason was they wanted to meditate on the Brahman. Yeah. Brahma got angry also, but he knew they were right, so he didn't burn them.
Yadu looks like he knows that Krishna is going to come.
Yes, that's what Prabhupada says. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to text 41. Turvasuschodita pitra druyuschanuscha bharata pratyachakyur adharmagnya iyanitye nitya buddhayaha. O Maharaj Parikshit, Yayati similarly requested his sons Turvasu, Druyu, and Anu to exchange their youth for his old age. But because they were unaware of religious principles, they thought that their flickering youth was eternal, and therefore they refused to carry out their father's order. Right. Text 42. Aprichattanayam purum. Yes.
Sorry, just one question, Prabhu. Going back to Yadu. So generally the thinking, especially in India, is, spirituality is after
Yes.
retirement.
Yes.
And reading this, it kind of jives with what people generally think. Okay, you enjoy, and then, once you retire, then you can go to spirituality. But that's not how we.
He's saying
think.
it, not like that.
Okay.
For most people, they think you enjoy completely. He's not talking like that. He said, I need the time to practice devotional service so that I can be able to do renunciation later. Yeah. But people now that they don't even want to look at Krishna, God, Mostly if you know something is wrong, then if you are a good person, you won't do it. But you kind of like, if I know I will not do it, so you'll avoid it. Right? That's the way people are, and I don't want to know. Don't tell me. And if you tell them, they get angry. Why you tell me all these things?
But he says, like, for unless one enjoys material happiness.
He
one
says
cannot-
like that,
Okay.
but his main motive was so that he can practice devotional service. Yeah. His main motive was to tell his father, look, I want to enjoy also so that I can renounce. But the reason why he says renunciation is when I do devotional service, I will enjoy devotional service. and then I can renounce. Right? If you do Krishna conscious activities, you are happy doing it, so you're enjoying. Yeah, in that sense. Text 42. Aprichattanayam purum vayasonam gunadikam natvam agrajavad vatsa mam pratyakyatum arhasi. King Yayati then requested Puru, who was younger than these three brothers, but more qualified. My dear son, do not be disobedient like your elder brothers, for that is not your duty. Text 43. Sri Purur Uvacha Konuloke Manusyendra Pitur Atma Kritapuman Pratikartum Shamo Yasya Sada Vindate Param. Puru replied, "O your majesty, who in this world can repay his debt to his father? By the mercy of one's father, one gets the human form of life, which can enable one to become an associate of the Supreme Lord." And so Prabhupada explains how the father is the seed-giving person, and then he brings about a child who develops into a human birth, And particularly in human body, you can go to a higher planet, but more than that, you can actually go back to Godhead if you use it in the service of Krishna. You don't have to come back. So that's the most important value of having a human form of birth. If you are parents, this is also something very important, which Rishabh, they've said, right? If you are, don't be a father, don't be a mother, don't be a teacher, don't be a king, don't be a demigod, if you don't give Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So that's another point Srila Prabhupada says. We raise children, you should give them ample opportunity to become Krishna conscious. You should do that. But whether they take it or not, after a certain time, is not your problem. Yeah. Because you should know that I did my best. But if you feel you didn't do your best, then then you suffer mentally. But if you have given every facility and the child doesn't take, then this one is a nonsense, yeah. And you should accept that and not get disturbed by it. But you can always pray for that person because you're always the well-wisher. That's very important. Right. Yeah, when one becomes a devotee, Prabhupada says he achieves the greatest benediction because he completely averts the reputation of birth and death. The biggest problem in this life, in the human form, the greatest suffering is coming back, taking birth, going through the three kleshas. Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, Adi Atmika, everything is going through, giving you so much difficulties. Yeah. But if you become a devotee, then you don't have to take birth, or maybe one or two more births, and that's it. But if you really want to go, then you really have to put on the fourth gear and then go zoom. Zoom, zoom.
So the three difficulties, the three places are also for devotees, is it not so?
Yeah, if you're not so Krishna conscious.
The devotee means Krishna consciousness.
No, we use the word devotee freely. Right or not? We use it so simply. Like we say everyone is karmi, but they don't even follow anything. They're not karmis. Yeah. But for conversation, we say karmi, and for in that reason way we say devotee. But a true devotee is one who is very pakka. So you should ask yourself, how pakka am I? Yeah. But having said that, if you truly serve your guru very nicely and the guru is pleased, even though you are not able to, Krishna says, right, whatever you lack, I will support. Yeah. Right? Whatever you have, I will make sure you don't lose them. So if you sincerely do service to the guru and the Vaishnavas, by their blessings you can.
Gurus suffer the three.
Appears like that, but the guru is taking the reactions.
It appears, but they're suffering all the three types of.
Yeah, but it's usually gurus don't suffer like us. They suffer the reactions of the disciples. Yeah. But of course, there is Kanista Guru, Madhyam Guru, Uttama Guru. So accordingly, they also will suffer. How much they can digest it, right? You can't eat so much. Like nobody can eat like Bhima, Vrikodara.
One is suffering so much because of us.
Yeah, that's right. You can think like that. Then why you make your guru suffer then? Then you should ask yourself and then not commit sin. Yeah, but in any case, here, the greatest benediction is to become a very good devotee. Yeah. Not just take initiation and do nothing, right? There's so many like that. So we should be very careful. Yeah. So then Prabhupada says, the father who trains his child in Krishna consciousness is the most benevolent father. And we know this from the Leelamrita, Prabhupada Leelamrita, right? You read how
Father was so kind.
exactly how much he tried to help Srila Prabhupada become Krishna conscious. Yeah, he prayed for his son to be Krishna conscious. He prayed to Radharani. Yeah. Okay, text 44. Uttamaschintitam kuryat prokta karitu madhyamaha adamo shraddadaya kuryat akartocharitam pituhu. A son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. One who acts upon receiving his father's order is second class, and one who executes his father's order irreverently is third class. But a son who refuses his father's order is like a father's stool. It's a heavy statement.
There should be some amount of reasonability even on the part of the father, right?
Yes, of course, yeah. In the case of Hiranyakashipu, it's not. That is not what the statement is. Yeah. When Puru is making he's talking about a father who's dharmic. Okay. Yeah. Puru Yayati's last son immediately accepted his father's proposal. For although he was the youngest, he was very qualified because he knew Dharma very well. Puru thought, I should have accepted my father's proposal before he asked, but I did not. Therefore, I'm not first class son. I was thinking also, I'm second class, but I do not wish to become the lowest type of son who's compared to his father's stool. So one Indian poet, I think must be Chanakya, right? One Indian poet has spoken of Putra and Mutra. Putra means son and Mutra means urine. Both the son and urine come from the same genitals. If the son is an obedient devotee of the Lord, he is called Putra or a real son. Otherwise, if he's not learned and he's not a devotee, the son is nothing better than urine. That means wasteful son. Yeah. Well, the word Putra means in Pu Patala Loka, Tra means to free. The son is supposed to free the father from the hellish plan. So that's why Putra, the son, that is their role actually. Hmm? Yeah. Oh, good. Nice for us to know. Yeah. Thank you. So text 45. Iti pramudita puruhu pratyagrina jaram pituhu sopi tad vayasa kaman yatavad jujuse nirpa. Sukadeva Goswami said, in this way, O Maharaj Parikshit, the son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father Yayati, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. Text 46. Saptadvipa pati samyat vitriva palayan prajaha yato bhajo samvishayan jujushe vyahatendriyaha. Thereafter, King Yayati became the ruler of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and ruled the citizens exactly like a father. Because he had taken the youth of his son, his senses were unimpaired and he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired. Text 47. Devayani api anudinam manovagdeha vastubihi prayasa paramam pritim vaha preyasi raha. In secluded places, engaging her mind, words, body, and various paraphernalia, Devayani, the dear wife of Maharaj Yayati, always brought her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. Text 48. Ayajad yagna purusham kratubir bhuri dakshinai sarvadeva mayam devam sarvavedamayam harim. King Yayati performed various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari, who is the reservoir of all the demigods and the object of all Vedic knowledge. So here you can see Sukadeva Goswami is also showing that Yayati is not a nonsense person. He is very dharmic and he worshipping the Supreme Lord very nicely, as well as the Brahmanas and his citizens. He's taking care of them. Text 49. Yasminidam virachitam Vyomniva jaladavalihi Naneva bhati na bhati Swapnamaya manoratha. The Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created the cosmic manifestation, exhibits himself as all-pervading, like the sky that holds clouds. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and varieties are no longer manifested. So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that coming to understand the Supreme Lord is not easy, actually. It takes many, many lifetimes. And so Prabhupada quotes this, so Mahanam Janmanam Anti. So it takes so many lifetimes for all of us here. We've at least come to this point of accepting Krishna, Krishna consciousness, taking initiation. And we shouldn't just stop at there. We should just go all the way, actually. And what is that? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Because many of us, although we accept, we don't think Vasudeva is Sarvamiti. You know? We think I am Sarvamiti. Right? So therefore, our modus operandi, the way we act in our life is what is in it for me. Rather, how I can please Krishna never takes place. And it's something very important as practicing sadhana bhaktas. We should always think in our lives, right? And so Srila Prabhupada is again emphasizing that, that although everything is temporary, because we are not thinking of the Supreme Lord, we want to enjoy the temporary world because of that. But if we know Krishna as everything, then we will understand that whatever I'm getting is due to Krishna. And so I should actually thank him for my life, you know. So of course, people will only pray to the Lord when they are unhappy. You know, oh, you look, you gave me all bad things, you know. It's not my fault, you know, right? Or you gave me a bad husband, bad wife, bad children, everything blame only the Lord. But he is pure, perfect. So that's not how we're supposed to think. Rather, we should understand that, yeah, I made bad choices. Now I'm reaping the bad reactions. I am so unfortunate. Please kindly give me good intelligence so that from now henceforward, I will not do such mistake. Otherwise, as Prabhupada says, one is always in some kind of illusion or dream state, making mental creation, right? Thinking, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll be so good, I'll be so, tomorrow onwards, I'll be a pure devotee. By the end of the day, I'm still an ordinary person. Right? We go through all these things. But we shouldn't do that. We should always have sadhana means tomorrow onwards, I will do this practice. Have a kind of a plan in your life. How as I mentioned, do you have a a 1 month plan, a 1 year plan, a 5 year plan of Krishna consciousness, what will you do? You know, what would you want to see yourself achieve in Krishna consciousness in 1 year? You know, oh, I want to finish reading all these books, Prabhupada's book, or I want to listen to all his lectures by 5 years or something like that. So those kind of Krishna conscious activities actually enhances us from this illusion or dream state, you know. So it's important to be very critical about our practices. We should be thinking like that. I'm not doing well, rather than looking at others and say they are not doing well. No, no. We are supposed to be very kind to others. You know? That is devotee. Devotee means kind to others. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Text 50. Tameva ridi vinyasya Vasudevam guhashayam Narayanam maniyam sam Nirashe ayajad prabhum. Without material desires, Maharaj Yayati worshipped the Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart as Narayana and is invisible to material eyes, although existing everywhere. Well, you can see what Prabhupada is saying. Although King Yayati seems to be fond of material enjoyment, internally is thinking of becoming an eternal servant of the Lord. Mm. So are we thinking like that? No, why not? Should start practicing this. Every day you should ask yourself, I want to be Krishna's servant, I want to be his maid servant, something like that. You all should practice. Practice. Then you will, your mind will automatically think like that. If you don't practice, then you'll be thinking of something. What is the sale in Macy's or something like that? Right? Right? You'll be thinking, oh, what is it? What they're cooking at the temple? That's okay, because Krishna in the form of prasadam. That's okay. But if you're thinking of something else, then it's not good. First thing when you wake up, you should think about Krishna. You should think about the Guru. You should think about the deities at the temple. You should think like that. First thing you all should do. First thing when you get up, you should pay obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, the deities here, and then you visualize. After that, you can go and brush your teeth or whatever you want to do. Yeah. So then you will cultivate these thoughts, you know. Yeah. Properly. Internally, you start thinking, oh, it'd be so nice to serve the Lord this way, that way. Oh, and then when you go and see the deities, you'll think, I would arrange the flowers this way, right? These are things that you can do. You don't have to be on the altar to do it. You can do it even simply watching and meditating. These are smaranam. And then eventually Krishna will allow you to do it. Right? Yeah. So this is nice. Although the purport is only one sentence, it's a very nice purport.
Guruji, like sometimes we reading, do everything, but we cannot give up our like a personal nature. It's like anger or you know.
Practice.
Yeah.
You have to practice. Yeah. If you find the situation, you have to identify what makes you angry. Then you write it down. Say, these are the things that makes me. Then look at it again. Ask yourself, is it a good reaction from yourself? Yes, I'm angry because my son did not chant today. I'm angry because he didn't say Haribol to me. And so you break it down, see what is meaningful, what is not meaningful. You know, I'm angry because he didn't look at me today. You know, you go to workplace and then your boss don't look at you, you become scared. You know. But at home, if somebody don't look at you, you become angry. So you can see the same activity, it can create a different emotion. So you have to ask yourself, is my reaction a valid reaction? You know, or maybe you should put in their position and see, maybe they are going through some difficulty. Maybe today he has done something that is affecting him, and therefore he can't chant today. So in that way, you can't get angry. You become their well-wisher. You say, I pray to Krishna that he or she is not going through some difficulty. Now, if you still can't control, and then you ask devotees to help you, and you still can't control, then you go for anger management. You know, some hospitals, they have anger management, right? Consultants and so on. So you should do that. Yeah. This is not just for only devotees can't go. Oh, I'm devotee, can't go anger man. I should show anger to everybody, but I shouldn't manage anger. No, these are facilities available. We go, we learn certain ways to control. Yeah. Yeah. So we should do that. Sometimes the process we do may not be sufficient for our conditioning. So maybe you need a crude conditioning. You hit you, then you know it hurts, and then you stop doing it. Yeah. So sometimes you can use like Prabhupada say, Ayurveda is good, but when your bone is broken, the hospitals are better. Because they'll set the arm very quickly and then it'll heal faster. Ayurveda means you have to hold it for 6 months. Yeah. I mean, it heals, but it'll take a longer time. Yeah.
Go to Virginia Mason.
He works in Virginia Mason.
Marketing.
Well, actually, 3 of us work.
Oh, okay.
Two,
Just information.
part of it.
He's buying. Text 51. Evam Varsha Sahasrani Manasaste Manasukam Vidadanopi Natripya Sarvabhauma Kad Indriyai. Although Maharaja Yayati was the king of the entire world and he engaged his mind and 5 senses in enjoying material possessions, for 1,000 years he was unable to be satisfied. Something that wasn't fulfilled, still not fulfilled. He was enjoying, he still wasn't fulfilling. Why? Because Prabhupada highlights this. Kat Indriya means he did not sufficiently purified. Only when you are fully Krishna conscious or engaging your mind and senses in Krishna's service. So then Rupa Goswami writes this verse, Sarva Padivini Muktam Tatparetman Nirmalan Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti. That means you're using your senses in the service of Krishna, Rishikesh, right? Now, Rishikesh also means he owns your senses. So you cannot use your senses for your own enjoyment. Your senses are meant to serve Rishikesh. Then you will become tripti completely. Yeah? That is called bhakti actually. And then you'll be happy. Then you can be like Dhruva Maharaj for how many thousand years? 35,000 years he ruled the world. And then one day he said, enough, I'm going back to Godhead. And then he left. Yeah. So that's how we should employ our senses in the service of the Lord. Anything, you buy some new clothing, you should offer to Krishna. Do you do that? Good. All the clothing you're selling,
Yes.
you make sure you offer it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to do it, no? Yeah. So from young, we were raised like that, Everything my mother would say, go, give it to Krishna, or Narayana, Vishnu, like that. So we'll go and put there, we don't know what to do, we look, and then we take after that. Like that. Yeah.
You can buy and give it to us also. After offering.
Yes, Prabhu.
All the good things are going.
He went to Vishnu Loka, he went to Dhruv Loka.
Dhruva Loka is as good as Vishnu Loka. No difference.
So here benediction, whenever he wants to go, he just go.
Yes. Yeah. Lord say you can enjoy for now because as a boy, he wanted big universe to enjoy. Then Lord say, okay, he said, I don't want. He said, no, you can enjoy. Why? Because he's a very exalted person and his progenies will all be exalted. And they'll bring in good jivas to also worship dharmically and enhance this world population to take up Krishna consciousness. So therefore the Lord wanted him to live here, have children, and then after that he can go back. For some people, we don't want them to take birth, we don't want them to have children because they are horrible, right? Yeah. But all this, having said that, this yoga is for all kinds of people. That's why you find people don't even know whether they are man, woman, animal, this or that. You know, they don't know who they are, which in effect is good actually, because they don't know who am I. You know, they're asking the question, so we can say you are jiva. You are not man, woman, or anything. You are jivatma, eternal servant of Krishna. Yeah, yeah, you can preach like that. All right, so thus end the Bhaktivedanta, the purpose of the 9th canto, 18th chapter, the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Yayati Regains His Youth. Comments, questions, reflections? You must have reflections.
I was thinking of this Mr. Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita.
Hmm.
It starts with Vacho Vegam.
Hmm.
That's where the whole thing started, right? I mean, this change of words and so many things one after another.
Yeah. To start our devotional life, we must be, first thing we do is control our senses. So Vachuvegam, and then Manasakrodha Vegam. Then you control your mind. By controlling your mouth and tongue from eating unnecessarily, you are able to control your mind and senses. Of course, the mind is the hardest to control, but with practice, Krishna says also, right? He says with practice and determination, one gets able to control the mind. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi. Very difficult to control. But then Krishna says, yes, abhyasena stu konteya.
So my observation, Prabhuji.
Yes.
One question.
Observation
With all due
first.
respects. Out of two here, we are studying two children, two child.
No, quite a lot.
Yadu and Puru here in this
Yeah.
chapter.
Yes.
So which one is supposed to be the good one? Out of
In
two,
this
Yadu and Puru.
in this pastime,
In Yadu dynasty, Lord
yes,
Krishna,
Krishna
appeared,
takes birth.
and Puru has given his obeyed his father. So out of two, in these two,
Both are exalted.
no, we have to give some
No.
percentage.
Okay, in this pastime, you can say Puru was obedient to his father.
Yes.
But at the same time, because we don't know the background to Yadu's desire.
Whatever we know in
Okay,
this chapter,
let's say ordinary person without Prabhupada's purport, then they will say Puru is better.
Puru is better.
Yeah. But for devotee,
But Yadu's dynasty, Krishna appeared.
yes, then later
Yadu
on you
is,
can say Yadu is better, right?
later on.
Yeah. But in this point,
1844 clearly says Puru is the best.
yes.
1844.
Yeah, that means otherwise the son who does refuses father
Yes.
is like a father's stone.
Yes, Puru himself is quoting Shastra.
Puru is better than Yadu.
Yeah. So you can take it also a little bit further. Lord Ram also followed, right? You can say he shouldn't have followed also. Yeah, but he followed. So therefore, Puru says,
Just for my understanding.
yeah. So Puru therefore says you have to
Without
follow
Lord.
the father's instruction. But again, I qualified that you don't follow a father who's a demon. Yeah.
Prahlad
Yes.
didn't follow the
No.
his father.
Yes.
Became the great
Yes.
personality.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to see
And his
situation.
Vilochan didn't follow the Prahlad and Vilochan's sons.
No,
Bali
Virochana followed, but
Not-
he
not
wasn't
exactly.
as exalted as Baliman. Actually.
Right.
You should understand, Prahlad had the benediction, seven generation, right? They will all get liberated. So even Virochana is liberated. Yeah. So you can't make statements like that. So we shouldn't compare Vaishnavas like that, because externally they may sometimes appear to be very fallen or something. We should be very careful. But in this pastime, Puru is the best.
No.
Yeah.
Good. Who way to follow?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Again, the theme of lust continuing.
Yes, yes.
Even 1,000 lives, 1,000 years, it's still.
He's still not happy. Yeah. So he was
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
why
yeah.
I'm not satisfied. Yeah. What is it? So in the next chapter, you will see his realization.
Going back.
Yeah. Right? King Yayati achieves liberation. Right.
Yeah, I think that the point to raise is very, very good because judging a devotee, we can,
Yes.
Improve ourselves. We can.
So to be careful.
no, we have to be careful.
Improve means that
Huh?
we can improve, we can make ourselves better a little bit.
Yeah,
By
but the thing
understanding.
is, we don't know what the internal of the devotee is. Because that's what
That is very
Krishna
difficult,
looks
very-
at, right?
Very difficult to understand.
Mm.
Yeah, and it can be bewildering if we,
Mm.
if we judge a, devotee.
Yeah.
But
So
externally, they may do things that can be bewildering, but internally, they may be very different.
fixed to Krishna.
Very fixed.
Yeah. So
And
that
that's
which
why
is
Krishna looks at only the internals, not
Mm.
the externals.
Which is why I was mentioning that we should not judge others heavily. Try not to judge, but you judge yourself heavily. Always ask yourself why I can't do this, right? You read about all these personalities, you should ask yourself why I'm not able to do some of this, why I'm not attracting Krishna, right? Why I'm not having taste, ruchi.
Yeah, that's why when I read also, say, yesterday also I mentioned Bhagavad Gita 9:30, Abhichetsu.
Suduracharo,
I
yes.
did not understand that until
Yeah.
we went to Madhurya Kadambini and then it started making sense because we are trained to actually judge people through their
Externally,
externals.
yes.
And we don't really try to understand their
Internal mood, yeah.
Right.
But of course, so you cannot say if the devotee goes to a bar and start drinking, you cannot say I don't know his internal mood. So certain level you have to see and then you judge them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because people talk like that. I have gone through so many years. Some devotees talking.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. The one devotee, Prabhupada disciple, he's initiated. So he said, Prabhupada didn't ask him to follow the 4 regulative principles. So he doesn't follow. Yes. Yeah, but he still goes out on book distribution. So that's his one saving grace. Yeah. Yeah. But that's not proper, right? You quote your guru and say he didn't say that. That means you're minimizing your guru. That's not acceptable. Yeah. So we have to be
Right.
also very observant first, and then you know the mood. Yeah. By an action of a Vaishnava, you know where they are at actually. By what they speak, how they act, how they behave. Vaishnava sadachar is very important. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So we'll stop here.
Little early. I don't know whether they are now.
Check first, then we continue. Otherwise, we can stop.
One more, just a reflection on it.
Yeah, you sure go ahead, please.
Verse number 44, which
Yeah.
is mentioned for the material father.
Yeah.
But I believe it is also applicable to the spiritual father. Like one who accept, one who understand the mood of the spiritual father and then follow his instructions without him explicitly telling him. Also, is that correct?
You mean first class, second class,
First
third class?
class,
Yeah, it applies to any situation.
Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Rupa Goswami, right?
Yeah.
Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. So
Yes.
Rupa Goswami understood
The
the
mind.
mind of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
And then
Without. Yeah. Yeah, this rule applies any place also, right? You understand what your boss wants before the boss tells you, then you get promotion,
Yeah, exactly.
So that thing is applicable in
The
any.
wife of-
Yeah, the wife knows the mind of the husband and the husband knows the mind of the wife.
And husband talk.
Yeah, both ways. It's not just one way. So the husband must buy jewelry without the wife asking.
It is not 30 at all. You said it.
Only father. Spiritual father.
No, first you need to ask the wife whether I can buy it without asking you.
Why do you ask this kind of?
You still need the permission.
He got in trouble.
We have. Yeah, we can go.
We can go? Okay, they are ready for prasadam.
So tomorrow, 7 to 9.
7 to 9 or slightly more. We will finish as many chapters. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow and then day after tomorrow also 7 to 9.
Yes.
And then whole day on Saturday.
And then whole day on Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday 10 to whenever we complete.
Yes. Okay.
Until we finish.
Until we
Yeah,
finish.
because it's one of those chapters are very
Lot of
small.
dynasties.
Last one is big.
The last one will be big, but then it's pretty much the preamble to Canto
Chapter.
10. Yeah, yeah.
And
All right. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Means Radha Krishna Prabhu ki
Very
jai.